Yesterday was International Women of Science Day, and I didn't say anything, and I know I'm a day late, but I wanted to do a video on something that pertains to that, and it's very convenient that my Secret Santa this last year gave me a book on women of science. So thank you, L Bell ASMR, for this book. So we are just gonna be reading it. Just about a few women of science. Women of science. I wanted to try to keep it mostly physicists and astronomers or astrophysicists as much as possible, but I can't remember who exactly I picked out. There's about 6 of them, I think, so today is going to be a reading video, whispering, tapping on this lovely hardback cover. Page turning. We're flipping, page flipping. And whatever words sound good repeated, or extra consonants added at the end. And I'm sorry this isn't ear to ear this time, but I figured it was easiest to just have it on mono. I only have one microphone, so. Thank you to all the women who have dedicated their lives to science. And as you will see in some of these stories, women have played a big part in science and its advancement. So, women in science. Let's get started. Alright. The first one is Marie Curie. Madame Curie. Most of you know who she is already. She was a physicist and a chemist. Alright, so let's get started on her story. Marie Curie was born in Warsaw, Poland, in 1867. After working as a governess to support her sister's education, it was Marie's turn. She traveled to Paris to study at the Sorbonne, where she met Pierre Curie, a fellow scientist, and her greatest love. Scientist Henry Becquerel had discovered a mysterious glow coming from uranium salts. Scientists didn't seem too interested in the effect, but Marie was fascinated by the glow and wanted to know what it was and why. discovered that the energy being produced came from the uranium atom itself. From the uranium atom itself. We now know that the atoms with an unstable nucleus emit particles and release energy. Marie started calling the effect radioactivity, 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 radioactivity. To find the source, she and Pierre ground up and filtered down other radioactive materials, like the mineral ore, uraninite. I cannot pronounce stuff to save my life. Through this process, Pierre and Marie discovered two new radioactive elements. Polonium, and radium. Pierre and Marie made an amazing team, but sadly, they realized that the radiation from their experiments was making them sick. We know this part of the story. Pierre would do tests with radium on his own arm that left large burns. Their long-term exposure made them both tired and achy, and we now understand the effects of radiation are poisonous and deadly. In 1906, Pierre was killed in a horse carriage accident. Despite her grief and danger involved, Marie continued their important work and discovered that radium can be used as a cancer treatment. She spent hours collecting radon gas to send to hospitals even though it left her feeling weak. In 1914, France was invaded during World War I. With her daughter, she created a unit of mobile medical X-ray trucks, which they heroically drove onto the battlefields to help wounded soldiers. Marie Curie did scientific work because she loved it and dangerous work because the world needed it. Her life and work continue to inspire scientists today. And I believe she ended up actually passing away from the poisonous effects. So she basically gave her life to this advancement in science, and we would not be where we are today without the insight that she gave us. So that's amazing. The next woman we have, for those of you who are into old films, you probably know this one. Her name was Hedy Lamarr, and she was an inventor and an actress. So you may already know that Hedy Lamarr was an actress during Hollywood's golden age, who was called the most beautiful woman in the world. But unbeknownst to most, she was also a genius inventor. She was born Hedwig Eva Marie Kiesler. Yes. In 1914 in Vienna, Austria. She dreamed of being an actress and made it a reality. When her controlling millionaire husband, Fritz Mendel, wanted to put an end to her acting career, she left him and fled to Paris and later London, where she met Louis B. Mayer, a big-time film producer who later gave her an acting contract from MGM and a new name. Hedy also had a secret workshop where she tinkered with inventions. During World War II, the National Inventors Council asked civilians to submit ideas. Hedy identified a problem she thought she could fix. The U.S. Navy's radio guide torpedoes were easy to signal jam, which caused them to go off course. At a dinner party, she met George Antheil, an avant-garde composer. be impossible to jam. Hedy was so excited she wrote her number in lipstick on his car window and immediately got to work. Working together, they developed the frequency hopping spread spectrum, or FHSS. FHSS, the frequency hopping spread spectrum. She received a patent in 1942, but the U.S. military shelved her idea. Disheartened but still patriotic, Hedy used her fame to raise millions of dollars in war bonds. It wasn't until the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 that the military realized FHSS was a gold mine. They sat on that thing for 20 years. Do you know how frustrating that is? And yet, she still kept her patriotism and used her acting ability and the fame she got from that to further the cause. That's just mind-blowing to me. 20 years. 20 years. Till they used it. That the military realized FHSS was a gold mine. Hedy's technology was used to control torpedoes and communication. FHSS is especially useful for communication between multiple electronic devices. It's the foundation for the technology we now use every day with our smartphone, GPS, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth devices. Although the patent had expired by the time FHSS was used, Hedy won many awards while she was alive and was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2014, 14 years after her death. That's just insane to me. Wow. It's I'm getting emotional reading these, because it's most of these are stories that I know already, but and I've heard many times, ever since I was young, but it's just now that I'm actually I have my degree in physics, and I've participated in research, and I've gone through. I can't say it's been all easy for me, unfortunately, and that's just getting my bachelor's degree, but it's so crazy to me, what women have to go through, or have had to go through, and I don't know, it's just mind-blowing. It's empowering to hear these kind of stories and to see how far that we've come today, but also at the same time, there's still a long way to go for us. There's still so much that's not right, and it drives me nuts, but reading these stories, it's very inspiring, and I don't know, it just gets me in my feels. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, so this time we have a physicist and a mathematician, and her name is Katherine Johnson. So Katherine Johnson was born in 1918 in West Virginia, and she always had a love of learning math. She excelled in school and enrolled in the West Virginia State College when she was only 15. It's amazing. Katherine assumed she was going to become a math teacher or a nurse like other women she knew, until she got to college and met her professor, the famous mathematician W.W. Schieffelin-Glader. Schieffelin-Glader. He inspired Katherine to become a research mathematician and helped her pick out the classes she would need to achieve this goal. When she was 18, Katherine graduated college. It was the height of the Great Depression and jobs were scarce, so she fell back on teaching in high school. In the 1950s, NASA began to have more openings for African American female computers. Katherine applied and got a job. Katherine wanted to know the in and outs of what she was working on. She was not allowed in meetings, so she asked if it was against the law for a woman to be in one. Her boldness and curiosity paid off, and she was included. Calculating flight paths involved complicated geometry equations, and Katherine was extremely good at these. She was pulled into working on the 1961 manned Mercury mission and successfully calculated the launch window. Her skill in mathematics was on point. She quickly became a leader in calculating trajectory, making her an essential part of the team that calculated the path for the first manned mission to the moon, in 1969. She did most of the calculations on the project, and she was also in charge of checking the math of the brand new mechanical computers at NASA. Mechanical computers at NASA. The math had to be perfect if the Apollo team was to return to Earth safely. The Apollo mission was a success, and her crucial contributions made it possible. Katherine later worked on lots of important NASA projects, including the Space Shuttle program and plans for the mission to Mars. Her work has helped astronauts visit the stars and come safely back to Earth. She retired after 33 years of service in 1986. I'm very emotional right now. It's just... It's just so inspiring, and just amazing how, I already talked about it, but it's insane. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So let's talk about the astronomer, Vera Rubin. So Vera Rubin was born in 1928 in Philadelphia and grew up in Washington, D.C. She always had an interest in the night sky, looking up at the stars with her cardboard telescope when she was a child. At the time, she was ready to earn her master's degree. Princeton University would not admit women to their graduate astronomy program, so Vera went to Cornell University instead. At the age of 22, she made headlines and shocked scientists with her theory that the universe was rotating. Scientists today are still debating this question, though most evidence points to Vera being correct. After earning a PhD from Georgetown University, Vera started work at Carnegie Institution of Washington, where she met Kent Ford. He invented a new spectrometer that could be used to see the light from distant stars like never before and measure the Doppler effect of stars in galaxies. Vera used this spectrometer to start her work on spiral rotating galaxies. The theory was that the galaxies spin the same way solar systems do. The farther away from a gravity point, the slower an object just like different speeds of the planets circling the sun. Vera studied over 60 different spiral galaxies. In every single one, she made the same observation. Everything rotated at the same speed. What unseen form of gravity was causing this? Vera connected her findings to Fritz Zwicky's theory about undetectable dark matter. Dark matter was creating a gravitational pull that affected how objects move in the universe. And although most astronomers did not believe that this invisible matter existed, Vera's findings could not be ignored. Vera's clear-cut calculations and observations could be explained only by the presence of an undetectable mass acting upon it, making her findings the strongest proof of dark matter's existence. Dark matter makes up most of the universe, but it's still a mystery to scientists today. Vera made important observations on many galaxies throughout her career and was always willing to mentor fellow female astronomers. And that is the story of Vera Rubin. Alright, let's do one more. So, this last lady is an astrophysicist, and her name is Jocelyn Bell Burnell. Alright, so Jocelyn Bell Burnell was born in 1943 in Ireland. Education always came first in her home. When her secondary school wouldn't let girls into the science lab, her parents threw a fit until she was allowed in class. Jocelyn got the best grades. Her undergraduate studies at the University of Glasgow were challenging. She was one of very few women in the physics department. That was me. For a while, I went to a very small school, so for a while I was the only girl taking physics as my undergrad. Alright, so every time she entered a science lecture, her male classmates would holler at her and make comments about her appearance. Luckily, the classmates that I did have, the people that were majoring in physics with me, they were all but one of them I got along with pretty well, and they were very kind. So, one of them in particular, though, liked to just say things to make me mad or upset me, and it was wrong. And yeah, looking back, it was kind of like almost harassment, but whatever. I also had people, I'm not going to talk about it right now. It's okay. We're going to talk about Jocelyn. She learned to hold her head up high and hit the books. She graduated in 1965 with honors. She was accepted to the University of Cambridge graduate program and finished her doctorate there in 1969. At Cambridge, she joined Anthony Hewish's research team and helped build a large radio telescope. She was also in charge of interpreting long, tedious printouts of radio transmissions coming from space. One night around 2 a.m., she noticed a scruff on the readouts. It was radio waves pulsing from deep space. Her advisors thought that this could be alien life signaling from across the sky. So Jocelyn saw more scruff repeated in different places in the sky. This proved that this was not alien-made, but a natural occurrence. These radio waves came from a type of small and dense star pulsar. This type of neutron star throws out beams of radiation like a lighthouse. That's right. Have I talked about pulsar stars? Or pulsars? Yeah. Have I talked about pulsars before? If not, I might do a video on that. So, if I did before, you can just let me know. But it's actually quite interesting. Yeah. So, these radio waves come from a type of small and dense star called a pulsar. This type of neutron star throws out beams of radiation like a lighthouse. Jocelyn Burnell's work helped her advisor, Hewish, to win a Nobel Prize, and has been used to understand the life cycle of stars. She became one of the few female physics professors in the UK. So Jocelyn still researches stars and black holes. She wants everyone to know that all elements come from exploding stars. So we are made of star stuff. And that is Jocelyn Bell Burnell. And this book is just filled with, I mean, that was only what, 5? Was it 5 or 6? It's either 5 or 6 stories out of the 50 in here, and it also has some other stuff, so that was a good read, and I haven't done a reading video in a minute, so alright, so we're gonna close out today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, so also disclaimer, I was just straight up reading from the book, so yeah, if anything seemed a little off or anything like that, that was the book. So I was literally reading from the book. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned a little something. And if you are a woman watching this, or a girl watching this who is interested, or is thinking about going into science, or math, or engineering, or anything like that, go for it. Honestly, you can do it. Don't get discouraged. I know there's always gonna be something. But if that's your passion, then you should go for it, and you shouldn't feel like you're being held back by anyone, male or female. Honestly, us women need to stop holding other women back, y'all. Otherwise, we aren't going to be able to advance. Anyway, I hope that you all liked hearing about these women, and happy International Women of Science Day yesterday. So I hope that you guys have a good night, or a good